Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle one of the biggest, and I mean biggest mix-ups in all of technology, the difference between the World Wide Web and the Internet.
So let me just ask you a quick question. When you're browsing online, do you say you're web surfing or internet surfing? I think for most of us we use those terms like they mean the exact same thing. But what if I told you they're two completely, fundamentally different things?
In fact, it's estimated that a wild 99% of people get this wrong. It is one of the most common mistakes in tech, but trust me, after the next few minutes, you are not going to be one of them.
So, okay, what is the actual difference? Well, I want you to think of it like this. The distinction between the internet and the web is really just like the difference between a road and a city. That's it. That one single metaphor is the key to unlocking this whole thing.
All right, Section 1, the Global Road Network. To really get this, we have to start with the internet itself. And that means we got to go back in time a little bit.
So, what even is the internet? At its core, it's the physical stuff, the hardware. We're talking about millions of miles of fiber optic cables laid under oceans. We're talking about all the routers and buildings that direct traffic, and those massive servers storing data. These are the literal roads and the railways of our digital world. It's the infrastructure.
And here's a really crucial point. The internet was around and was super useful long before the web was ever a thing. I mean, it goes all the way back to the late 1960s with ARPANET, a US military project. And by the 70s, email was already its first killer app, and you had other services for sharing files and holding discussions. The roads were already built.
So what could you actually do on these early digital roads? Well, you could send messages using email, which was kind of like a digital postal service. You could move huge files around with something called FTP. Think of it as a cargo service for data. And you could join these massive, sprawling conversations on Usenet. And it all worked because of a set of rules called TCP/IP, which you can just think of as the global traffic laws that kept everything moving smoothly.
But here's the catch. The roads existed, but attractive cities and tourist destinations had not been built on them. That's a great way to put it. All these services were powerful for sure, but they were not easy to use. You needed some serious technical know-how. The internet just wasn't for the average person. Not yet, anyway.
And that problem right there, it set the stage for the next great leap. The world needed a way to make all this incredible infrastructure easy for everyone to use. So, Section 2, building the city of information, the birth of the web.
Now, the hero of this part of the story is Sir Tim Berners-Lee. Back in 1989, he was a scientist at CERN, and he was wrestling with a very specific problem. How could all these scientists scattered all over the globe easily share and, this is the important part, link their research documents together? He wasn't setting out to change the world, he was just trying to solve a very practical problem for his colleagues.
And his brilliant solution was the World Wide Web. So here it is, the key point. The web is an information system that runs on top of the internet. If the internet is the roads, the web is the whole universe of cities and buildings and libraries that we visit, all the websites and pages we use every single day.
So how did he actually build this digital city? He came up with 3 foundational technologies. First, the URL. Think of it like a unique street address or a GPS coordinate for every single piece of information out there. Second, HTTP, which is basically the common language that lets browsers and servers talk to each other. And third, HTML, which is like the architectural blueprint for building any web page.
But the real magic, the absolute game changer that gave the web its name, was the hyperlink. You know, that little blue underlined text you click on. It created this amazing spider web, or web, of interconnected information. For the very first time, you could just click a link on one document and instantly be transported to another, even if that other document was on a server on a different continent. It was the thing that connected information to other information.
Okay, so we've got the roads and we've got the city. Now let's just put them side by side to make it crystal clear. Section 3, Roads versus Cities, a direct comparison.
When you see it like this, the difference is pretty stark, right? The internet is the hardware infrastructure. The web is an information service. The internet is the roads and cables. The web is the cities and buildings. But here's the most important distinction. The internet connects computers to each other. The web, using that very same internet,
connects information to other information. That's the leap. And of course, you can see the web is much, much younger.
And this all boils down to the single most important sentence in this entire explainer. You ready? You can have the internet without the web, but you can never have the web without the internet. The roads can exist without any cities on them, but you absolutely cannot build a city without roads to get to it.
So, why do we care? I mean, is this just a fun bit of tech trivia? No, it's actually not. Let's get into our final section, why this distinction matters.
It matters because understanding this helps you understand the world we live in. Put it this way, the internet is the foundational hardware. The web was the killer app that finally made all that hardware useful and accessible to billions of people around the globe. One is the physical foundation, the other is the revolutionary service built right on top of it.
Knowing about this layered structure, that one system is built on top of another, is really fundamental to digital literacy. It's the basic architecture of the digital world that shapes pretty much every part of modern life, from how we work, to how we shop, to how we talk to each other.
So the next time you type an address into your browser, you'll know you're using the web, which is running on the internet. And that's pretty cool. Now we know every building on the web has a URL. But have you ever really stopped to think about what all the different parts of that web address actually mean? Well, that sounds like a question for our next explainer.